I don't know if y'all remember when y'all was in grade school and they asked that one kid to read aloud and you look forward at the paragraph, you like, dang, it got some big words in that paragraph. This about to be crazy. That was the president. That was the president reading about a military operation. And he was reading hard too. He was reading hard. He was reading for his life. Shout out to all the subscribers and the members here on the channel. Don't forget to like the video. I'm Reese Waters, and this is Street Politics. Well, y'all saw it.
Had he lived, I believe we would be fighting perhaps a different Iran right now because he's never been replaced, you know. And I did one other, but this one was not picked up. Osama Bin Laden. If you read my book, I said you got to take him out 1 year before the World Trade Center came down.
Just in case you wondered if he got any better since last week, now we know. Let me guess. You also just won the women's national championship too. Did you do that? Was that you? You the one that got Trick Daddy kicked out of the AKA event? Was that you?
Because I heard you running for some type of office or something. I would get on your every day until you won't motherfucking win. Don't play with me. Don't play. That's right. So I'm performing for the AKAs, and yeah, I do jump on it. That's one of my records. You should have known that when you booked me.
No, see, because that wasn't Obama. That wasn't Obama. He liked to claim stuff that Obama did for himself. In fact, that has a lot to do with why we in here in the first place. Ain't that right, Trump? Well, I can tell you one thing that Obama was able to achieve that he'll never claim. Ain't that right, Michelle?
See, his limited, narrow view of the world made him feel threatened by the existence of two hardworking, highly educated, successful people who happen to be black.
Not with them tiny hands.
To this day.
It is fascinating to watch them do a press conference that he called in advance for the rescue, but none for the deceased. In fact, I recall Fox News having to replay old footage because of the transfer that happened when he refused to remove his hat. So let's just establish out of the gate exactly what all of this is about. We sat up there. What was that? A 2-hour press conference? It was a 2-hour press conference about a rescue during a war where American soldiers have lost their lives and went completely unmentioned. So let's just establish what all this is about. And I know with a lot of you, it goes without saying that if Trump is moving, if he's talking, if he's operating, it's in the service of his own ego. But let's just establish that for those that aren't already aware, right? That the guy who stood up there and said John McCain was no hero because my heroes are those that aren't captured probably is looking out for himself. And I will take this detour because one of the things that I mentioned in the Pete Hegseth video, which is dropping soon, is the fact that this president, despite having said all of that, despite the fact that I've probably done 2 to 3 dedicated videos on Trump's disrespect of the military and veterans, won the veteran vote 2-1. Won the veteran vote 2-1. Okay, let's come back.
He said, "Oh, he doesn't have a plan. I have the best plan of all, but I'm not going to tell you what my plan is." You know, they want me to say, "Here's my plan. We're going to attack at 9:47 in the morning, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to." And if you don't do that, they say, "I have a plan." These people know what the plan is. Everybody here knows what the plan is.
Uh, he doesn't want to tell you his plan because we have to keep things a secret. After he sat up there and detailed the mission blow by blow, had the nerve to say, well, we engage in a little bit of subterfuge. You know, we didn't want them to know where our people were. Oh, really? Oh, really? Tell me more. Tell me more. While we go on and on about leakers, I think I found one. I think I found one. I think I found one. But I can't tell you the plan. I can't tell you the plan because we can't tell y'all everything. You know, we got a plan. We just can't. We just, you know what I mean. We can't tell you, but we know, we know what it is that we doing. But then also it depends on what they do. Yeah, it also depends on what they do because you gotta be willing to adjust depending on what happens. You know what I mean? So, but we got a plan though. But I can't tell y'all. But let me tell you what happened in this one though.
So, yeah, there were people within the military that said it's a wise. And don't forget, how many men did you send altogether, approximately, for the operation?
I'd love to keep that a secret.
Okay, well, we are. But I will tell you, the number, I'll keep it a secret, but it was hundreds.
And then you saw it in real time when he said, how many people? How many people on that mission? I would prefer to keep that a secret. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Hundreds of people. Hundreds of people. Where did we go last night? Hey, keep it low. All right, so we was at Shabui's, right? Let me tell you what happened. You just saw it in real time. You just saw it in real time. And sometimes we ask ourselves questions like, what kind of information is Trump privy to? What is he seeing? What are they showing him? Is he aware of public sentiment, these new polls? Sometimes we ask those questions. Well, let me answer that for you. Because the last time he went and did his nighttime train wreck on Iran, I went and detailed a litany of cases where he talked about the idea that Iran was on the precipice of nuclear capability after it was supposedly eradicated 8 months ago with Midnight Hammer. That was what, 2 weeks ago? Was that last week? I think that was last week. He came back a week later and talked about how he is facing a much more powerful Iran than any of his predecessors. One of which is him, by the way.
We've been dealing with these people for 47 years. I'm standing here with a much more powerful Iran as of a month ago, not anymore. Right now, they are decapitated. But I'm standing here a month ago with a much more powerful Iran than it was at any point during 47 years.
One of which is him, by the way. He talked about, I'm facing a much more powerful Iran than any of my predecessors. Now, after the Midnight Hammer 8 months ago. So you mean to tell me you did a whole military strike 8 months ago when you supposedly destroyed their nuclear capabilities, And now you sit up there and they are a much more powerful Iran than we've ever seen. And if that wasn't bad enough, follow that up by saying that Midnight Hammer obliterated, he used the words complete obliteration of their nuclear capabilities 8 months ago.
Had those beautiful B-2 bombers not gone in 8 months ago and obliterated that site, and by the way, the word is obliteration. CNN said, well, maybe it wasn't complete. It was so complete that they still haven't been able to get it. It was obliteration. But
I'm going to circle back around to the question that I asked a week ago when I asked how old you have to be, how young rather you have to be for this to make sense, for you to swallow all of this. So let me get this straight. You obliterated their nuclear capabilities 8 months ago, and now they're a much more powerful Iran than any of your predecessors. Like, and I know that was the portion where he was off the cuff. That was the portion where he was off the cuff. That wasn't the part where he was reading out loud, because they did the read aloud. They did the read aloud, and let me tell you, I ain't seen nobody get whooped that badly in a read aloud since second grade. It's been second grade since I seen a piece of literature do somebody that dirty in a read aloud. It's bad.
he was injured quite badly and stranded in an area teeming with terrorists from the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps rough group, as well as besieged militia and local.
I don't know if y'all remember when y'all was in grade school and they asked that one kid to read aloud, and you look forward at the paragraph, you like, dang, it got some big words in that paragraph. This about to be crazy. That was the president. That was the president reading about a military operation. And he was reading hard too. He was reading hard. He was reading for his life. Okay. I don't know if you've ever seen anybody read for their life. He was reading for his life. He was reading for his life. This man said the shoot down. Trump, you know that wasn't on that paper. Trump, you know that wasn't on that paper. You know, nobody typed up the shoot down when referring to the location where the rescue took place. Then nobody wrote the shoot down. I need somebody to get me a copy of what he was reading, because I need to know, did it say on the paper that they rebuilt a plane, multiple planes, in less than 10 minutes? Was that on the paper?
And if you'd see it, you wouldn't believe it. They came off the plane, and these guys had them. The rotors were off. They rebuilt these helicopters in less than 10 minutes. And that was one of the more amazing things. These are helicopters, small, unbelievably powerful, but small, very small, so it can get into certain areas. And they got them off the plane, and they rebuilt all three of them in a matter of less than 10 minutes. It's pretty amazing what the genius of these people.
Was that on the paper? What happened? The bumper stickers fell off. The bumper stickers fell off. You had to put the bumper stickers back on. Well, let's see. What happened was there was one of the pilots is a new father, and he had a baby on board in the back window, and it fell off. But because of the wind and everything, it was hard to put it back on. It took us like 10 minutes to put the baby on board back on there. But we rebuilt it in less than 10 minutes. Yep, we sure enough did. And then wonder why people question the quality of his construction. Maybe that's why we still got a hole in the East Wing. Maybe that's still why we got a hole in the East Wing. Because if he think we rebuilding planes in less than 10 minutes, then I guess the ballroom's supposed to be finished by this afternoon. Is that why? Is that why you waiting for a contractor to tell you they can finish the ballroom between the time you walk into McDonald's and you finish your extra value meal? Is that why we still got a hole in the East Wing?
The Iranians have, and we've had numerous intercepts. Please keep bombing. Bombs that are dropping near their homes. Please keep bombing. Do it. And these are people that are living where the bombs are exploding. And when we leave and we're not hitting those areas, they're saying, please come back, come back, come back.
One of the things that I try and do when it comes to Trump is extrapolate things that we say, things that we see, things that he says, and the relevance domestically. And we saw it when he looked right in the camera. He looked right in the camera and said that the people of Iran are saying, please keep bombing. The people of Iran, according to Trump, are saying, please keep bombing. That's interesting. Was that before or after the school that we got that intel? That they want you to please keep bombing. You mean the bridges and the power plants that you threatened yesterday? Is that what they want destroyed? Is that what they want destroyed? Please keep bombing. Keep that in mind when you hear Trump talk about the will of the American people, because, of course, I'm not surprised, and I know a lot of you guys aren't surprised, but when they try and tell you, oh, yeah, the people want us there, the people want the National Guard there, the people want ICE there. This the same guy that told you the people of Iran said, please keep bombing. And to get hyper domestic, because I'm in DC, this is a jurisdiction where they swore the people wanted the National Guard here and went so far as to find people that would go on camera. Remember the grandma at the Black History Month event that was preaching? And she took Pastor Sewell's job and he had to crash out. I did a whole video all about it. The grandma that was preaching at the Black History Month event is from DC, and she was talking about how National Guard did a great job cleaning up DC, this, that, and the other thing.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap.
I remember I had that chart where I went through all the jurisdictions and talked about how unpopular Trump was. The bottom was DC. But that didn't stop them from putting words in the citizens' mouths about how much they love the National Guard and what a great job they did. Keep that in mind. Another one, just as significant.
And a lot of the news doesn't talk about that. They talk about, oh, women's rights. You want to see women's rights? You're not going to see it there. It's amazing when I see some of the stupid people like, AOC +3, all that group. They talk about, oh, freedom for Iran. They don't tell you the real facts. Women, men, gays. How about gays for Iran? They kill the gays. They throw them off buildings. So I wonder what's going on. I can only say this. They want us to keep bombing.
Women, gays in Iran. I don't understand how they can support this regime. I don't know how women or gays could support Iran. These are women and gays in Iran and women and gays here who are skeptical of the war. Oh, so you mean an administration that demonizes them? Is that what you mean? You mean an administration that scapegoats them for anything wrong with society? Is that why you couldn't imagine them supporting Iran? Because it's so fascinating that you could put together the treatment and disregard that other people might have for those groups, but not your own. So you know. So you know. Okay. Okay. We'll remember that. The next time that y'all prattle on about drag queens in schools and 4 trans people playing college sports and make that the headline of the Democratic platform, we'll keep that in mind. The next time that you got so much to say about educated women and women in the workforce, we'll keep that in mind. Also, your whole Christian nationalists get back into the kitchen, become a wife and mother. We'll keep that in mind. I couldn't imagine how they might support an administration like that.
Mr. President, are you allowed to, or are you willing to end this conflict with Iran charging tolls for passage through the strait?
Us charging tolls?
Iran.
What about us charging tolls?
Is that something you're considering?
I'd rather do that than let them have them, right? Why shouldn't we? We're the winner. We won, okay? They are militarily defeated.
Somebody in the chat talked about how he's a businessman first and always. This man talked about the idea of Iran closing the Strait of Hormuz and charging tolls as being untenable, and then later on said we would like to charge tolls. Just in case y'all thought this was about right and wrong, just in case there was anybody that was trying to moralize all of this. Let's go ahead and throw that out there. Again, this is the non-scripted portion. This is the non-scripted portion. He told you exactly what it was. Do you remember that whole thing about I couldn't imagine women or gays supporting Iran? How about this? Demonizing Maduro because he released criminals into our country. Tell me more, Trump. What kind of criminals? What kind of criminals? Oh, they was drug dealers and murderers. Oh, okay. I got you. Okay. I got you. Drug dealers and murderers. Okay. But if they were engaged in embezzlement and fraud, if they was in white collar crime, if they forced themselves on somebody against it, we good with that though. We good with that though. Who released criminals into the country? Huh? Who released criminals into the country? Let me tell y'all, I have a video that I probably made this video back in February about how wild Trump's pardons have been. And I haven't been able to release it because I keep having to update it with a new out-of-pocket pardon that he gave. I keep having to update it. I got my outfit over there. I got my outfit over there. That's my Trump pardon video outfit. I got to put it on and shoot something new every 3 days because of some other new pardon he got. Talking about releasing criminals into the country. Always pay attention to what they say. How many times did he talk about central casting? That's what this is for you, isn't it? That's exactly what this is for you. Central casting. Let them tell you all about themselves and exactly what it is. Central casting. You wonder why Pete Hegseth is able to keep his gig. Central casting. There you go. This man talked about we leave no American behind, like he invented it, like he came up with it. Again, veterans, 2-1, 2-1, 2-1. The guy that talked about former soldiers like he did, and the guy who takes credit for no man left behind. Now, Trump, was that Trump 45 or Trump 47? You came up with no man left behind. Must have been 47. He must have came up with that sometime last year. Sometime last, because we was leaving. You know what I mean? They used to race to the chopper. They had a horn, and they would blast out Arnold saying, "Get to the chopper," and they would blast out, "Get to the chopper." And if you was late, you know what I mean? That was what we did. That was what we did. Before Trump took office, then Trump took, and now it's no man left behind. So credit to him for that. Yeah. Shout out to Raising Cane's. They didn't deserve to be brought into that. Raising Cane's didn't do nothing to be brought into that. They had nothing to do with that debacle. Okay? Raising Cane's didn't have nothing to do with it. You can say what you want about Raising Cane's. They ain't had nothing to do with that. You know, I was just grateful he didn't bring Zaxby's into it. Wasn't no Corporal Zaxby's. Didn't have nothing to do with nothing.
When you add that to it, but we have to find that leaker because that's a sick person. Probably didn't realize the extent of how bad it was. I can't imagine that the person did, but we're going to find out. It's national security, and the person that did the story will go to jail if he doesn't say, and that doesn't last long, and I think everybody would understand it. They put this mission at great risk. They put that man at great risk, and they put the hundreds of people that went in looking for him, because everyone now knows that we're going in.
They had a lot to say about leaks. They had a whole lot to say about leaks. We're looking for the leaker. So this is the same process that we went through 8 months ago when there were reports that originated with y'all about the ineffectiveness of Midnight Hammer, which has borne itself out because here we are again. We went through this same exercise about a leaker last year. That's interesting. And your reasoning this time around is that it made the lives of soldiers more dangerous. Now, I will say there is a delicate dance between the military and the media when it comes to what the media puts out, because the media can, in fact, get in front of the military and make things more dangerous for soldiers. Then you have people in the military that go to the media and say things like, "We don't believe in rules of engagement." Then you have stuff like that happens. You know what I mean? Then you have people who run to the media and say things that make life more dangerous for the soldiers. So what we doing? You know what I mean? What we doing? Huh? What are we doing? That makes about as much sense as the head of the CIA and Pete Hegseth and whoever else got up there. I'm not sure who all. I don't know who was there from the Air Force. I was sitting there. I was in the chat like, "Harpo, who this man? Y'all, hey, AP, y'all can't give us no fonts or nothing. Come on, y'all. Hey, when I watch the tournament, when I watch the NCAA tournament, y'all know who every player on the bench is. As soon as they come in, I get a font. You got this man out there talking for 15 minutes and nationally televised. I can't get nothing. Nothing, AP. Well, make something up. Give me something. Tell me that's Corporal Zaxby's. So you got Pete Hegseth and you got Corporal Zaxby's up there praising the leadership, the courage, and the genius of President Trump. which is not something that we haven't seen before. But you out here praising the man and giving credit to the man that was reading for his life to try and communicate what happened. How you telling me about all that Trump had to? He was reading for his life. Even when I make a public appearance, right? I try and pick my head up. Y'all know I'm reading, but I try and pick my head up every few words, make some eye contact. He reading for his life. He couldn't pick his head up because he knew if he did, he would have short time in order to decipher what the next word was, and there's no guarantee he was going to know it. He had to keep his head. He had to stay locked. He was locked in. He was locked in. Okay. Matter of fact, I've asked this before about, some of the young people that are on the channel. That's teaching tape for being locked in. You need to be locked in. Be as locked in as Trump was to them words. He was locked in to communicate what happened and still was making stuff up like shoot down. And y'all want to give him the credit like we didn't just see him reading for his life. That's all. I mean, the bar is set so low. The bar is set so low for y'all. We do know that every accusation is an admission when it comes to this regime, when it comes to this administration. And they repeatedly said that Iran was embarrassed and humiliated.
Under the constant threat of Iranian forces closing in, ultimately, it was an impotent Iranian threat. And today, as the CIA director mentioned, Iran's military, and we know this, is embarrassed and humiliated, and they should be.
They were embarrassed and humiliated by this operation. So let me get this straight. So y'all bomb on them 8 months ago, say that their infrastructure was decimated, have to come back and do it again because they were on the verge of nuclear capabilities. You did it preemptively, said that they were destroyed and eradicated. Now, when we have planes shot down and Americans have been lost, you ignore those that are lost, highlight the rescue outside of a country that was supposed to be weak and feckless. Impotent is what Pete Hegseth called them, and I don't know why that was on his brain. And they're embarrassed and humiliated. I probably would have struck that from the whole speech. I probably would have struck that from the whole speech. You know what I mean? I just let's not admit that. Probably let's not admit that. That probably would have been the better move. How about the fact that Trump kept bragging about America's military capabilities on the planes, on the weapons, on the goggles. He kept bragging about how unbelievable our military technology is while our economy is on the craps table. A week after, he sat there and told the country they couldn't take care of daycare and Medicare and Medicaid because we have wars to fight. He wants to get out there and talk about how incredible our weaponry is. It's going great. It's going great. MAGA, I don't know if that whole affordability thing is really hitting. You know what I mean? I don't know. It don't sound like he got the message. it don't sound like he got the affordability message. I'm gonna be dead real with you. It don't sound like it. This war is costing us how much per day? Huh? How much per day is this war costing us? Hmm. Well, at least we have like the latest and greatest military grade weaponry. I'm gonna have to take that to the market. I can't take the weapons to the market because I don't have it. But I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna tell them how incredible our weapons are, and hopefully that can bring some of that inflation down. Hopefully, when I take the next road trip and I go to the gas station, they trying to hit me with $5+. I'm gonna tell them about how incredible our military weaponry is. That might could help me with that. Unless there's sand, and unless hey, if it's sand, all bets is off. If it's sand, all bets is off.
We were up late at night, and then we were waiting for those contingent planes to come in, and we say, "Come on, let's go, get in," because they're waiting out on this farm without a runway, with wet, crummy soil, sand, mostly sand, wet sand, and it eats planes alive. And we're waiting, and we're saying, "I hope that one can land and take off."
Bro, how much we paying per day? And y'all want to talk to me about some sand? Oh, well, see, the thing is, we got these new bombers. They fly at supersonic speed. They are invisible, and it can hold an unbelievable payload. But if it we couldn't use them because it was windy. It was windy. It was we couldn't yeah, so that's what happened. That's what. So we took the older ones. We took the older ones, but then we had to sit those down because they only operate between 3 and 6 o'clock. They 3 and 6 o'clock is like the sweet spot for those when they feeling good about themselves. How you talking to me about some sand? Come on, dog. Come on, dog. How you talking to me about some sand? Them the excuses you use on your buildings? How you talking to me about some sand? And then had General Zaxby's up there talking about a backseater.
Meanwhile, the backseater, as the president and the secretary have said, had continued to work and survive.
Oh, I don't know where you got General Zaxby's from. Out here talking to me about a backseater. Hey. This is the middle of the day, sir. We don't talk about a backseater. No, this is we don't do that. Okay? Talking to me about I guess you know what? I guess they didn't have any time to vet him because they just had to go back in the back and find somebody that wasn't fired. Never mind. You know what, AP? I apologize. I apologize. Ooh, ooh. I apologize, AP, for y'all not knowing his name because y'all probably the first 6, 7 people that y'all thought was going to be there speaking then got fired. So they just went back in the back and found somebody. They went and got one of them cosplay. They got some cosplay pens to put it on him.
Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen.
One thing I can definitely say, as far as the whole operation, the whole episode that we saw today, you don't have to do none of that if you don't attack somebody. You wanted the troops to feel safe. You wanted the troops to feel safe. I think that was one of the things that General Zaxby said. The American people, one thing I want to say is you should feel more secure because we have, oh, you mean more secure than we was 2-3 months ago before the attack? Huh? We should feel more secure because they went and got a soldier, irregardless of the ones that didn't get found and rescued in time. So we should feel more secure because the unilateral attacks circumventing Congress that cause us to have to go in and rescue and then run to the media, we should feel more secure. That made sense to you coming out of your mouth? Yeah, that's not going to age well. It's definitely not going to age well. You know what else won't? And I don't want this to go unmentioned. So Trump talked about Iraq and talked about how they went and they fired the generals and the policemen. And then next thing you know, ISIS was formed, which, I know that they gave Trump a little pamphlet on American history. So obviously it's a whole lot more to it than that. But it's fascinating that you would show an awareness of terrorist groups and insurgent groups and how they start after you preemptively attack a country and threaten civilian infrastructure. It's pretty fascinating. It's pretty fascinating. You have seeded your awareness to how these things grow, how this anti-American sentiment grows, and yet this is how you move it. And the relevance to us is such because we already know what all of this is costing us. But the problem is, even after this particular chapter is over, that doesn't mean the ramifications of our actions are also. So as much as we are spending, now we have to keep spending it because of the hatred that you have sown from your actions, despite the fact that we overwhelmingly disapprove.